A gruesome scene unfolds as two people lie dead while a cheery game show blares on the TV in the background. A chilling image of a white Martian flashes before a bloodied man with an emotionless look on his face. As he stands in his dimly lit, cluttered room full of alien posters, he mirrors the Martian's outstretched pose, lost in his delusion with a gun in his bloodied hands. Meanwhile, Agent John Jones, off-panel, struggles to convince himself that what he's experiencing with the Manhunter isn't real. John lights a cigarette, but the smoke twists into the form of the Martian, haunting only his vision. As he tries to keep his composure in a crowded street, the Martian's presence grows stronger and more invasive, telling John that what happens in his head also happens. Jones struggles to quiet the hallucination while the Martian mocks him, blending unnervingly into the chaos of the city around him. John rushes through the city, desperate to make sense of his unraveling reality, pleading with Manhunter to just leave him alone. Martian Manhunter appears again, emerging from the newspaper and urging him to stay calm. As Jones struggles, a flood of vivid dreamlike images fills his mind, with the Martian tapping into his deepest memories to soothe and stabilize him. A honeymoon with his wife, the smell of his mom's famous cinnamon rolls, and the sensation of serotonin and oxytocin flooding his brain. The latter will make anyone calm and relaxed. As expected, John feels a sudden wave of calm, rationalizing his fears. John is still in disbelief that he's mentally interacting with a little green man, a Martian. As the Manhunter continues to guide his mind, he takes John's thoughts into surreal visions of a distant alien world beyond human understanding. This dreamlike trance shatters when John snaps back to reality, finding himself dangerously standing in the path of honking oncoming traffic. John, still haunted by visions of the Martian, sees its face appear on a parking meter and even on a baby in a stroller, blurring his grip on reality. Meanwhile, we see the shooter who killed his parents is on the move to Serta Street to commit more violence, a foreboding revealed to John by Manhunter. The armed killer calmly walks away from the crime scene as the Martian warns John that humanity itself is under attack. John's panic surges once again as he realizes the urgency of stopping the impending tragedy. John, confused by the Martian's warnings, demands to know what humanity is really under attack from. In response, the Martian pushes John to open his eyes, granting him the ability to see people's hidden thoughts like colorful streams of smoke. As John walks the street, he is overwhelmed by the swirling raw emotions and dark inner voices of everyone around him. Some people's thoughts are bitter and self-loathing, like worthless, ugly, deceitful, I'll never be anything, and so stupid, while others are judgmental and cold, thinking things like mean, selfish, sick, and boring. As John wanders the streets, the Martian Manhunter appears again, asking him what he sees. Looking around, John notices signs of despair, fear, paranoia, and rage saturating the world, symbolized through violent and hateful imagery around him. Manhunter notes these dark emotions have built up into a toxic atmosphere affecting everyone, and explains that this psychic contamination has grown too strong for humans to resolve on their own without outside help. Manhunter alerts John that Trigger, the killer, is closing in on Serta Street and urges him to act quickly. Still overwhelmed and confused, John struggles to understand the true nature of the Martian and their connection. In an effort to help, the Martian attempts to upgrade John's consciousness, expanding his Martian vision even further. As the transformation begins, John is flooded with colorful visions and fragmented memories, trying to piece together a reality that keeps slipping away. John, still confused and desperate, asks the Martian what he truly wants from him, to which he replies, partner, ally, roommate, and friend. Meanwhile, in the background, we see the killer through his cold, red-tinted view, aiming at innocent people he sees as invaders. As John's connection to the Martian sharpens, he taps into Trigger's twisted thoughts, picking up on his growing hatred. Realizing the imminent threat, the Martian urgently pushes John to act before it's too late. Trigger, consumed by paranoia, unleashes a barrage of gunfire on innocent people he believes are alien imposters. Meanwhile, John still questions the reality of his experiences with the Martian Manhunter. As confirmation comes through a call about an active shooter at Serta Street, John snaps into action. Without hesitation, he and the ever-present Martian speed toward the scene, ready to intervene. While en route, John reflects on how the Martian Manhunter perceives time and space differently, struggling to fully grasp it himself. Meanwhile, Trigger roams the streets, driven by his delusions that ordinary people are alien imposters hiding in plain sight. As terrified civilians flee, Trigger coldly vows that he will notice and expose them, gunning down another innocent without hesitation. Trigger, lost in his delusion, mutters that imposters give themselves away by getting small details wrong, making it obvious to him. Ignoring a pleading victim, he heartlessly guns them down alongside others already fallen while sarcastically welcoming them to Earth. As chaos unfolds, John and the Martian Manhunter finally skid onto the scene, the sound of gunfire sharp and urgent as they prepare to confront the horror. The Martian Manhunter immediately plunges into Trigger's mind, forcing John to follow his lead. Trigger, seeing John approach, turns his weapon on him while the Martian urgently shares with John that 5 victims are already down, with 6 more still hiding. Through Martian vision, John sees that of the 5 on the ground, 3 are already dead, their final memories fading like mist, while 2 cling desperately to life. Wasting no time, John calls out to Trigger, trying to break through before more lives are lost. To stop Trigger from continuing his rampage, John pretends to be Clyde Toomis, Trigger's first-grade best friend. As the Martian Manhunter swims through Trigger's memories, they discover Trigger's deep childhood bond with Toomis, including a moment where they became blood brothers. Trigger struggles to connect the man before him with the friend he once knew, his fractured mind clouded by madness and paranoia. John and the Martian also uncover that Trigger's instability is rooted in a long family history of schizophrenia, fueling the wildfire of his delusions. One of the wounded victims quietly passes away as their final thoughts fade into a prayer. Trigger, still suspicious and unstable, questions whether John is truly his childhood friend Toomis or just another imposter. Deep inside Trigger's chaotic mind, the Martian Manhunter continues searching through a swirl of broken memories. Meanwhile, John grows tense, noticing Trigger's finger tightening on the gun's trigger. As Trigger's paranoia flares again, he begins to convince himself that Toomis might just be another alien in disguise. We learn that Sirta is mostly Syrian, locally called Little Damascus. Many living there are traumatized refugees. John continues trying to calm Trigger, insisting he's truly Toomis and urging him to lower the gun. Trigger, still paranoid, argues that aliens are skilled at pretending and even convince themselves they are human. As John stays focused on keeping Trigger talking, the Martian Manhunter dives deeper into Trigger's mind and suddenly discovers something critical. Meanwhile, John's heightened perception shows him the innocent people still hiding. A teenage boy behind a car, mourning that he'll never get to fulfill his dream of playing football for Manchester United, and a woman behind a counter, praying desperately for her family as memories of the Syrian civil war flood her mind. Just as John tries to hold everything together, Trigger sharply questions again if he's really Toomis, or just pretending. Police screech onto the scene, guns drawn, demanding that Trigger drop his weapon. John quickly flashes his badge and begs them to hold off, insisting he's still talking to Trigger. Meanwhile, inside Trigger's mind, the Martian Manhunter uncovers the heart of his madness, a tangled mess of delusions, hallucinations, and rotting thought patterns known as brain rotter. Manhunter observes how old fears and poisonous ideas have rewired Trigger's mind, making him see enemies and conspiracies everywhere. The Martian Manhunter works inside Trigger's mind, disabling the chaotic delusions and momentarily bringing clarity. Trigger, snapping out of his madness, finally sees the bodies around him and recoils in horror at what he's done. Meanwhile, John, using his expanded perception, sees a severely wounded victim's memories as she desperately struggles to stay alive. Just as Trigger hesitates, a single bullet is fired and threatens to change everything. That bullet was fired by a police officer, striking Trigger squarely in the head, exiting with a burst of color and memories spilling from his mind. As the vibrant fragments of Trigger's life scatter into the air, he collapses lifelessly to the ground. His final breath and the remnants of his existence drift away. The Martian Manhunter glimpses a final chilling memory buried in Trigger's mind. It's Trigger standing before the image of a white Martian around the time he murdered his parents. Manhunter realizes with deep concern that Trigger's mind had been invaded and manipulated, fueling his descent into madness. It becomes clear that Trigger's violence wasn't born solely from within, but from an external psychic corruption. As Trigger's life ends, the memory violently disintegrates, leaving behind only emptiness and a lingering sense of dread. After witnessing the corrupted memory inside Trigger's mind, the Martian Manhunter grimly warns John of impending danger, disaster, and doom, calling it the worst possible outcome, far worse than they had feared. John, weighed down by the day's horrors, silently drives home under the night sky. As John settles into bed, the Martian Manhunter solemnly confirms that the White Martian's true mission is to end humankind. John's wife casually asks how his day was, and he masks the heavy truth with a simple, hollow reply that it went good, nothing outside the usual. In a memorable final image, the Martian is shown lying beside John's wife, symbolizing that John and the Martian are now fully merged, his mind and life forever changed.